So let's begin. Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another live English lesson presented via Zoom service for conversing and produced by me, Hamid, your English teacher at El Firdaus Bilingual Secondary Schools. Okay, today we are going to complete studying the passive voice. We're gonna tackle how to form a passive sentence with modal verbs. And for the time being, we will study the modal verb can. After that, we are going to read Unit 5, Lesson 4. And if we have time, we will do the related exercises. So, let's begin. As you remember, we studied the passive voice in relation to the present simple tense. We have a newcomer. Yes. So as you remember, we studied the passive voice in relation to present simple tense and the past simple tense. I mean, we studied the present passive and the past passive, right? So now we want to know how to form a passive sentence with the modal verb can, right? In the previous lessons, we looked at what constitutes sentences, and active and passive voice, if you remember. Yes, we have a newcomer. So we studied how to form sentences in the active and passive voices, and we learned the difference between the active and passive voices, and how the passive voice is affected by different tenses, right? So as a quick recap of the previous lectures, the previous lessons, we studied, as we said, the present passive. And here are examples of sentences in the present passive. Like, the article is edited in Baghdad. The pictures are shown on television screen by Beard. Okay, I've taken these sentences from your roundup section in your student's book. And we also studied the past passive. And here are examples of sentences in the passive voice, in the past passive voice. I mean, like, the article was edited in Baghdad. The pictures were shown on a television screen by Beard. Pay attention, this is a recap. We have studied this before. We have another newcomer. Okay, we have studied this before, so we're just making a recap. So the question is how to form a sentence in the present passive or the past passive. What is the formula that you usually have to follow when you want to make a sentence in the present passive? These are the two formulas, right? And the P is not appearing here. Okay, so the present passive, we said that if we have a sentence, an active voice, and we want to change it into the passive voice, we should use this formula. We take the object of the sentence and we make it the new subject of the passive voice sentence, right? And after that, we use an auxiliary verb, which is, in this case, I mean, in the case of making a passive voice, we use the verb to be. And since we are speaking about the present passive, it becomes either is, are, or even am. But now we are studying is and are only. Okay. After that, we take the original verb of the active sentence and we change it into the third form, which is the past participle form, right? And after that, if we have a complement, we put it after the verb. And if we want, we can use the preposition by. And after that, we put the original subject of the previous sentence. For example, the original sentence, we suppose that the original sentence of this passive sentence, the active sentence of it, was, for example, Ahmed edited the article in Baghdad. I think I lost the connection. Can you hear me? If you can hear me, please mention this. Okay. So that's great. Okay, thank you. Okay, so for example, if we suppose that the original sentence was Ahmed edited the article in Baghdad. If we want to change this active sentence into the passive voice, we take, as we said, the original, we take the object of the sentence, which is the article, right? Because we suppose that the original sentence was Ahmed edited the article. So the original object is the article. We make it the subject. So it becomes the article is. The passive. Please stop the video, Muhammad. Halifa. Yes. So the new subject becomes, the original object becomes the new subject. And after that, we put the verb to be, which is, and we make, we put the original verb in its third form, in past participle form, and we put the complement. If we want here, we can say the article is edited in Baghdad by Ahmed. So I think it's clear. And the same case is applicable to the past passive. But the difference is that the verb to be, we should put it in the past form, which is was or were, instead of is and are, right? So I think it's clear. Okay, so what else now? In construction of appropriate sentences, many times we are stumped because we cannot find the right word. Now, this is where modals come in. We use verbs according to the requirements of the actions that we want to describe. We know that the main verb describes the action, but modals are helping. They help to improve the sentence. So before we go on, we're speaking about the verb can, right? So what do we call the verb can? It is what? It is a modal verb. And what are modal verbs? Can anyone tell me? Have you ever heard of modal verbs? I don't think that you have heard before of this thing. Okay, so modal verbs are helping verbs. They help. Okay, we have newcomers. Okay, modal verbs, as we said, are helping verbs. They help improve the sentence by communicating much more than the main verb alone. Modal verbs normally precede the main verb and provide additional information about the function of the main verb. In a sentence, the modals cannot stand by themselves and always appear with a main verb. And there are many modal verbs, but not all of them. Okay, many of them are used as helping verbs. We have many modal verbs. Now, what we care about for the time being is the modal verb can, right? Okay, so modal verbs are used, as we said, in a particular way in sentences in the passive voice. Now, the question is how to form a passive sentence using the modal verb can. The form is similar to the form it acquires in respect with other verbs. And this is the general rule for sentences using modals in passive voice. As you can see, as we can see, we have the object, which is the new subject. I mean, this is the subject. Every sentence should start with a subject, but we take a subject from the original sentence, the active sentence. We make the object of that sentence into a subject, a new subject. And after that comes the modal verb can, and after that we have the verb to be, and we have the past participle form of the original verb, the main verb. If we have a complement, we put it, and we can use the by form, the by preposition, with the object, which is the original subject of the sentence, right? So, examples. Look at these sentences in the active and the passive voice. Do anyone know the name of this car? Have you watched the movie before? You're so silent. Please interact with me. Have you watched this cartoon before? Oh no. Okay. Yes, Dima. Okay. Turn off your camera. 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 Yes. I have. Yes. Okay. Okay. It's a great thing that Dima is listening to me, that you can hear me. Okay. So these are examples about using the modal verb can in the passive voice. We see we have active sentences here and we have passive ones here. For example, the first one, he can drive a car. Where's the R? Okay. He can drive a car. Here we make the car, well, okay, it's half a car. Okay, we make the car, which is the object, into a new subject. So we start the sentence with the car. The car, as we said before, after that comes the modal verb can. So we put can here, and after that, what do? We put verb to be, right? A car can be driven. And after that, the verb, the original verb, into the past participle can be driven him. Okay, there is a missing by here. So it must be a car can be driven by him, okay? By him. Pay attention that the verb to be, which comes after can, it must always be in the infinitive form, which is be. So you cannot say, for example, a car can, is, or are, or anything like that. It should always be in the infinitive form, which is be in this case, right? So here, this is a negative sentence. He cannot drive a car. The car cannot be driven by him. We can say a car cannot be driven. But if we want to mention him, we say car cannot be driven by him. The other one, can he drive a car? This is a question. Can a car be driven by him? So I think it's clear, right? So all of these sentences, on the right hand, are in the passive voice. You may remember that in the passive sentence, the person performing the action is not stated because it's not very important to know who that person is, right? So you don't always mention or you don't always use the by preposition with the other object because it's not important, right? So for example, in this sentence, your hair is cut. The listener of this sentence does not know who cut your hair, right? But that is okay because it's not very important to that statement, okay? And that's all I think about the passive voice. I hope that it becomes easy for you now. If you have any question, you can ask me after the lesson. You can post your questions in the comments, or even you can send me privately if you want to. So now let's move to page 50 in your student's book. You have your student's book, right? Students' books. Okay. If we look at these pages, page 50 specifically, and 51, I have lost the connection. I have lost the connection. I have lost the connection. Oh, okay. So, we have these captions under these pictures. I think you cannot read them. I will read them instead. Okay. On Monday morning, an article is written in Cairo. Next, it is sent by email to a newspaper office in Baghdad. This takes less than a minute. When the article arrives, it is read by an editor. If the editor likes the article, it is edited and inserted into the newspaper. Then it is sent to the printing press, and at night the newspaper are printed. Early on Tuesday morning, the newspapers are sent to the shops. When the shops open, the newspapers are sold. Finally, the article is read. So, if you notice, there are many passive sentences in these captions. So can anyone tell us about them? Can anyone tell us about these? If you want, I will unmute you so we can hear you. Abud, are you ready? Should I unmute you? Please don't be silent. Mention the sentences that you see in these captions, which are in the passive voice. Am I talking to myself? You're gonna lose marks for not participating in this lesson. An article is written in Cairo. Yes, this is a sentence. Can anyone read it? Are you ready? Come on, be courageous enough. Yes, Sidra. Yes, Dalal. Another one. Choose another one. Try to find another sentence. It is read by the editor. Yes, exactly. Okay, we're taking too much time. So now you know how to form a passive sentence. There is a grammatical box on page 51, right? Let's read it. Here are examples taken from it and the difference between active and passive, right? Okay. When we say that what people and things do, we use active verb forms like write and send. When we say what happens to people and things, we use passive verb forms like is written and is sent. If you remember the previous lecture when we first spoke about the passive voice, I mentioned this, right? So for those who attended the lecture, you should remember what I have said. And for others, you should have listened to the lecture, to the lesson after it was recorded. So I hope that you too can remember what I have said. Okay. To form the present passive, use the verb be plus past participle of a verb, like books are sold in El Mutanabbi Street. Right? So I think it's so clear and easy. right? Now, all of you have your activity books, okay? So let's move to the activity book on page 68. Come on. Page 68 in your activity book. Okay, we have lesson 4. It says, use the present passive forms of these verbs to complete the sentences. Some are used more than once. So, you have to complete them. I will do the first one for you so you can copy. The first one says, on Monday morning, an article in Cairo. An article is what? An article is written. Right? So, what about the other one? What about the other one? It is sent by email. Okay, number 3. It is sent, not only sent. Yes. Number 3. Sentence number 3. When the article arrives, it's by an editor. No, number 3 is what? Number 3 is yes, is read by an editor. And the other one, ya dalal, which is if the editor likes the article, it is edited and inserted into the newspaper. Now, number 5, then it is. We said that some verbs are used more than one time. So, then it is. Okay, I'll do it. Okay, sent to the printing press. The newspapers are printed. The other one, right? The newspaper. Yeah. So number 5. Then it is sent to the printing press. And at night, the newspapers are printed. Number 6. Early on Tuesday morning, the newspapers are what? Are sent to the shops. When the shops open, the newspapers are sold. Yes. And number 8, finally, the article is read. Right? So, we finished this exercise. We have another exercise that is, I think it's easy for you. Right? It's on page 69. We have these verbs. If you remember, in the past, we used to give you the infinitive form of the verb, and you had to write the past tense and the past participle forms of the verbs. Now, the condition is reversed. So, for example, here, the first one, the first form of the verb catch in the past tense, it becomes what? Do you want to leave this exercise for you as a homework? How about making it a homework? If you can do it now, okay, homework? Okay, yes. Okay, so this is your homework. Now, your homework will be to do exercise B and exercise C. Exercise C, if you read it, it says, look at the pictures and describe how the fish get from the sea to the shops. Use the present passive forms of the verbs. I think that you do not have any lesson after that, right? Now, we have nearly half an hour left. So, let me explain this. This exercise, you have to look at the pictures and describe how the fish get from the sea to the shops. Use the present passive form of the verbs. Like here, I mean, you have these verbs that can help you in your answer, right? So for example, here, first, the fish, you have these verbs and you can see what they are doing with the fishes. So you can say, for example, the fish, first the fish are caught and put into, for example, into boxes. And next, and next. Is it hard for you to do it? You can change these verbs into the present part, the past participle, and form passive sentences to describe what's happening in these. Can you hear me now? I have lost the connection. Okay, so I was saying that you have to use these verbs in the pictures and to form passive sentences. My internet connection is unstable. To form passive sentences describing what is happening in these pictures, right? So I think it's easy for you. Next time, inshallah, let me check it. Maybe we don't have time, and maybe we do have time. Okay, we do have time for the time being. So if we lost the connection, next time, inshallah, I want you to read, listen, lesson 5 and lesson 6, right? But for the time being, let's get back to this, since we have time, to this exercise. Let's do it. Let's do it together. Okay, come on, get ready. So we said that the past tense of the verb catch becomes caught. Same thing as the past participle of the verb. So brought, what is the original form of the past participle verb brought? It is brought. What is the original verb of brought? the infinitive form, the first form. Bring, yes, bring, and the past tense is also brought. Okay, so, and now, what is the infinitive form of the verb sold? Sell, and the past tense is? Wait a minute, I have lost the connection again. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Yes, okay, that's great. So, we said bring and sold. Now, taken. What is the original form of taken? Take. And what is the past tense of take? Took. Yes, exactly. Now, sent. What is the original verb? The original form? Send. And the past tense? The past tense is sent. Exactly. Made. What is the original verb of made? Make. And the past tense? Made, exactly. And now written. What is the original form of the verb written? Right. And the past tense? Wrote, exactly. Now washed. Sorry everyone, I have lost the connection. Sorry, I have lost the connection. So let's see who will come in. Okay. So the verb washed, the original form of the verb washed. Wash, yes, exactly. The original form of the verb washed is wash. And what do we have else? Cooked. The original form of the verb cooked. Cook. And in the past tense, it's also cooked. Now, the original verb of the original form of the verb put is put, exactly. And the past tense is also put. So this is all about exercise B of lesson 4. Now we have lesson, the exercise, the other one, exercise C, I want you to do it as a homework. And as I told you, I want you to read lesson 5 and 6. Okay? Now, do you have any question, any feedback, anything that you couldn't understand? Do you have any question? Who is Galaxy J5? Who is Galaxy J5? It's the same as my mobile phone. Who is Galaxy J5 2016? Come on, we are running out of time. Who is Galaxy J5 2016? Okay, however, thank you everyone for joining this live lesson. I want you to tell me if you want us to complete doing such live lessons or change our... Okay, Raya, welcome. Do you want us to continue doing the lesson in this way or what? What do you say? Do you like this idea of doing a live English lesson or not? If you find it difficult to understand, we can do some changes. I can speak louder, yes. I'm asking you if you have any problem with the idea of doing a live lesson. Do you think that we should use another way or continue doing live lessons? Abode says it's a modern teaching way and there is nothing better than it is. Inshallah, when things return to its normal status, I will have something with you. I mean, those students who are doing their best. Thank you for joining the lesson. For those who always care about the lesson, the English lesson, the English class, and thank you for being great students. And inshallah, we will continue our studies and we will have many other ideas, inshallah, the next days. So don't forget your homework and have a good day. See you next time.